Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the case may be. Well, that didn't work. I was trying to set it to YouTube Live so that I could launch the show. Welcome to Cross Examinations Live. I'm your host, Mike S. Miller. 27-year veteran, I hate that word. In regards to me, of the comic book industry. Also did some video game work, but that's neither here nor there. And now I am here on YouTube and on Indiegogo, changing the direction of my career to entertain and enlighten here on YouTube, and to entertain and entertain on Indiegogo, doing my own comic books. I don't have any links in the description right now, but I'll probably drop them in later. Let's see. Today's episode, Hope and Fear. What's up, withheld, rather not say. Pat, Raythulu, Atechi, Duran, trusty sidekick, and that's it. 6 people watching now. Don't know if my alerts are going out, notifications. Let me know in the old chitty chat bang. Chitty chat bang. Yeah, I don't know why that just didn't work. I thought I set it up correctly, but apparently I did not. It's funny, because okay, no notifications. Can you guys please hit that share button, hit that like button, hit that share button, and get this out there into the wide world of sports. And let's bring some new viewers. Let's grow this fellowship, huh? Let's grow this fellowship. Streaming. Whoops. What did I just do? Whoa, that was weird. Very strange. Strange days indeed. Typing on the wrong keyboard. Streaming live now. Post to Facebook, since I am no longer on Twitter, 'cause it's a trash fire. Alright, let's get back to the channel. Pop out the chat so I can see what y'all are talking about. Delete that. Pop out the chat. Gonna do this, gonna do that. Hope everybody's having a fat day. Didn't get notification either. No one's getting notifications. Alright. Well, 6 people watching. Anyways, I guess it's just us. It'll be a small group study right now. Withheld says I have 8 followers. They never read my tweets. I think I regret making a Twitter. I regret making a Twitter too. Although I did meet a lot of you good people there, and now you're here. So, hey, you take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of life. I do have a couple of comments from yesterday's show, which was mass shootings, cross-examination live. Today's show does correlate to that show. It's going to get a little political, but I'm trying to be more about the principles and the reactions rather than the politics, but it's gonna sound political. So I don't know. Deal with it, I guess. I'm not one to shy away from politics, but it is what it is. Super Crusader from yesterday's episode said, "Thank you so much for the prayer. When I feel like I can't go on, all of this is going to crush me. It energizes me. It gives me hope and strength to push through one more day. This ministry is truly God ordained. The lives touched in the short time it has been active is proof of that. Thank you, Mike, for being obedient to God's call. You're changing lives, brother." Well, thank you, Crusader. That means a lot. I appreciate that. Can't add to that. Super Crusader then says, "Criminals aren't going to turn over their guns. All these calls for firearm confiscation would do is punish responsible, law-abiding gun owners, putting everyone at greater risk of becoming victims of violent crime. Everyone has God-given right to defend their family and property. Historically, whenever a government has sought to revoke that right, the mass death of undesirable elements soon followed. Anything can be weaponized: cars, chemicals, clubs, and stones. Someone intent on doing harm has virtually unlimited options. What we have is a heart problem, not a gun problem. Until we turn back to God and teach our children that every life is unique and infinite value to our Creator, the violence will sadly continue. I cannot disagree. Yeah. I cannot disagree. So, I don't know. I kind of just want to launch right into the topic of the day, even though there's only 10 of us. It really is like a small Bible study. Could you guys please share this out on Twitter if you're here, or on Facebook, or whatever? Yeah, no notification. Don't ask me why. Hope and fear? I don't know what the topic of hope and fear, why would that choke me? Oh, darn it. I have Christian headlines in the description again. That might be why. Might be why. God is the energy of the universe. Well, God created the energy of the universe. Jalapeno Milk didn't get notified. No notifications going out, ladies and gentlemen. So this is, it's gotta be you. It's gotta be you. You gotta, whatever, at whoever you gotta at. Share this out. Let people know. Otherwise, I'm just gonna get into it, man. I'm gonna get into it. And like I said, this is gonna seem fairly political, because some people aren't gonna want to hear this stuff, but here it is. Connor Betts is the douchebag that mass shooting. But okay, I'm not going to go through this whole thing. He's a self-described leftist who wrote he would happily vote for Democrat Elizabeth Warren. That's not really here. Okay, he's a leftist. People are saying, why isn't the news telling us that he's a socialist? He's a socialist with a gun. You know what that is, right? That's a communist. I'm trying to find. All right, there's this just lists a whole bunch of proof from Twitter that, and I apologize, there is swearing in this, but there is a particular thing that he wrote. Obviously, his vest saying "against all gods," and then having, I think this is like a little satanic thing. Obviously, not a born again Christian. Trump's way. You can't kill 50 plus people and injure 600 in 10 minutes with cigarettes, my dude. Very strange responses. But there's one response where he's like, no, that's not it. There it is. I want socialism, and I'll not wait for the idiots to finally come around to understanding. I want you guys to understand that this is communism. This is fascism. This is how Hitler rose to power. This is how Mussolini rose to power. If you've read Friedrich Hayek's The Road to Serfdom, it explains how, socialism was huge in the 30s in Europe. I mean, across Europe. But this was the mentality. They were sick of waiting. Okay, I learned this from a socialist professor who was teaching the difference between socialism and communism. Socialism and communism both have the same end goal: egalitarianism. right? Socialists are willing to go through the democratic process. Socialism is democratic. And they want to force their agenda, to push their agenda, move their agenda, just move everything to the point where everything becomes socialism. And then ultimately their fantasy world of utopian egalitarianism will just sprout from the earth. Communists have the exact same goals as socialists, but they are not willing to wait for it, so they will implement it through violence. What this clown said right there, is the difference between socialism and communism. He was a communist. Now, why I called this hope and fear and not socialism bad, capitalism good, I'm going to bring this back to why I started Blacklist Universe, my comic book company, for those who don't know what Blacklist Universe is, or why my YouTube channel is called Blacklist Universe. When I've run a publishing company, I've been in this industry for 27 years now. Let me scooch this in a little bit. 27 years. 10, 12 years ago, I ran a comic book company, and I've always had all these ideas, and I've always been, since I ended my last comic book company. At one point, a friend of mine asked me, he's like, what would it take for you to start another comic book company? And I said, $500,000. Right? I was like, give me $500,000 and I'll start something with you. And he's like, well, okay, let me think about it. This guy had money, so. I had no hope, but I had the idea. I knew how. I know how to create. I wrote a whole white paper, but I wrote this white paper when Donald J. Trump got elected. People ask me why I started all this stuff. It wasn't Comicsgate. It wasn't Ethan. It wasn't YouTube. It wasn't any of that stuff. Donald J. Trump got elected. And I had hope. And hope is an amazing motivator. It makes you feel like things are possible. So you reach for those stars. You jump for that moon. When you lived in without hope of ever being able to do your own stuff, unless somebody, dropped $500,000 in your lap and said, go for it, then you don't have the motivation to get up and do something. And Donald J. Trump got elected. And I just felt this rush of hope. Wow, we can turn this all around. I sat down and I wrote my white paper on how to run a successful comic book company in the modern climate. I took everything I had known from 27 years, or at that point, 25 years in the industry, dealing with pretty much every side of the industry, from print, digital, creation, publishing, etc., 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 marketing, everything I knew. And I wrote down a white paper. And I found a partner who believed he had hope too, right? He had hope too, and he had connections. So we started shopping it around to, people who could drop $500,000, who could drop $2 million. Anyways. That's, I don't need to go down that whole road. I'm just saying that hope was this motivator. Trump gets elected. I took action. there's a flip side to that, and it's fear. It is fear. I went into conspiracy mode yesterday or the day before because I'm like, how do you have multiple mass shooters, bam, right after both Democratic debates were such dismal failures and showed that the Democrats had no chance of beating Trump? Right? And I went into conspiracy mode. But then I saw this kid. I saw this freaking kid. I want socialism, and I'll not wait for the idiots to finally come around to understanding. Fear is as powerful a motivator as hope. And this kid, who realized that there is no hope. They have no hope. And the other jerkwad, I don't know anything about the other jerkwad. I haven't looked into. But I was just thinking about this one kid who probably sat there watching those debates, loves Bernie Sanders, loves Elizabeth Warren, and was, hoping beyond hope that they could make the pitch and move the people and the tide would turn, right? The tide would turn and he would have that hope again that his desire, his future could come to pass, was crushed. Right? Plebeian, this guy was Elizabeth Warren supporter. This guy right here. But he saw that his hope was crushed, and that instilled him with fear. And fear is a great motivator as well. And when you're already inclined to communism, I mean, maybe that was the thing. He was willing to be a socialist. He was willing to let the people push us into socialism. If Bernie or Elizabeth Warren could get elected president, he could have just sat back and waited and allowed socialism to move the country in the direction he wants. But I think that hope was crushed after those debates because, oh my, it was just an embarrassment. And I think, it's speculation. I'm just putting two and two together here and understanding human nature. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to soy. Well, in this case, hate led to a kid snapping and thinking there's no hope left. It's all. So what could he do? He followed Comrade Stalin. He followed Comrade Che. Comrade Pol Pot. And I think he wants to start the revolution. And this, what better way? So, yeah, sorry, it's kind of a downer. But that is what it's just what I'd been thinking about. And I don't know, it seems to make sense in my mind. I don't know, what do you guys thought? What are you guys' thoughts? What are you guys thinking? Atechi said that's why it's important to learn history. Read about Stalin and these idiots would learn he was way worse than Hitler. Yeah. He was. Unfortunately, how do we allow this crap to be taught in our schools? It is replete in all of our colleges. This socialist communist garbage is indoctrinating our youth again. And how? Oh my gosh. How did we allow this? How did we allow them to make McCarthy the bad guy? Withheld says, my mom thinks that these shooters are being put to do these shootings. I mean, that was my conspiracy theory too, but I think what I just said, it's more rational and realistic. You know, fear motivates people, and the timing of this. I mean, you'd have to be a sold out political spinner not to see what an abject failure those Democratic debates were for the Democratic Party. Right? They were horrible. It made the Democrats look like a bunch of bumbling communists. And the handful of rational as far as being a Democrat, rational, reasonable people who were trying to have, you know, broader, understandable arguments that the normies in America could agree to, they were crapped on by the rest of the field. They're all so far left now that they made Obama look like a conservative. And it was just an abject failure. And I think that brought a lot of fear into the minds of some very, I don't know, brainwashed, irrational, I don't know. Atechi said, Jordan Peterson brought to light the level of indoctrination occurring in the humanities of academia in North America. Well, yeah, I mean, he shined a light on it, but if you'd been paying attention, everybody knew this was happening. Ray Thulu says, we allowed this to happen because people who like small government and freedom generally don't go into bureaucratic jobs like the education system. Gosh, what a great point, Ray Thulu. What a great point. Oh my goodness. It's true. I think churches need to... That's the thing. Churches try to teach our best and brightest to get into ministry and share the gospel and whatnot, but yeah, we need to push people into being changers. I don't know. It's like, of course, now they've got a lockdown. The left has a lockdown on conservatives in education, academia. So it's pretty hard to get in there even. Plebeian said, Mike, when I attended Church of England High School at Archbishop of Lichfield refused to let left-wing non-religious curriculum into the school, and they removed partial funding. Great man. Oh. Right on. Just listen to the rhetoric, Rainbolt says, just listen to the rhetoric of BAM and Antifa. Advocate. We have a power keg sitting under us at this very moment. Look at people like Yvette Falarka, who was teaching children. I don't know who that is. I know, Excal, no notifications, so please do hit that share button. They're not going out. I accidentally left the Christian headlines in the description, so I think the fact that the word Christian is in my description throttled my notifications. Thank you, YouTube. You're yeah. We need real-life Juan Swansons in the government. It's true. What kind of class is Bible studies? I don't know. Where do you have Bible studies? Control of academia and media is all you need to control a population. I know, and it's all controlled by the left. Thank God for... I mean, as screwy... as screwy as YouTube is, and as anti-right-wing as YouTube is, At least they haven't just all out cut out the right. I think, you know what? Maybe they don't do that. Oh boy. Maybe they don't do that all the way. Because if they did, they would lose not only more than half of their viewers, and it would really launch a secondary platform. It would. I mean, look what happened in the media when Fox News came out. It was just CNN, it was ABC, NBC, it was the Alphabet channels, and they all owned the media, and everything was left wing. Everything had a left wing slant except for Crossfire on CNN, where they would bring in, conservatives to argue with Republicans, which was, conservative, Freudian slip, argue with leftists, liberals. And then Fox News comes out. It wasn't even in every... And all Fox News was trying to do was be fair and balanced, which was they had Hannity and Colmes. They had Greta Van Susteren and O'Reilly. Right? They had left. They had right. Shepard Smith is still on there, that left-wing dingbat. And all they did was allow maybe a little skewed conservative, but they allowed both sides on. The whole pitch was fair and balanced. You get both sides of the argument. That's how they ran Fox News for a while. I wish they would go back to doing more of that. But what happened when you were allowed to see both sides of the argument? When you were allowed to hear the conservative voice regularly? Bam! They weren't even in every single market in the country, and they instantly became the number one news channel, and they have never ceased to be the number one news channel. So what happens if YouTube shuts out all the conservative voices? BitChute starts live streaming, right? Or DLives becomes a better platform, whatever. If that happens, bam, YouTube not only loses its market share, it becomes second. It goes into second place. That might be why they're boiling the frog rather than killing the frog, right? Right. Matt V says there is no left or right. There is only freedom or tyranny. Everything else is an illusion, an obfuscation to keep you confused and silent as the world burns around you. I disagree with that. The left is totalitarian communism. The right is anarchic anarchic libertarianism. I mean, if you want to go as far left and far right as you can, there is a political spectrum. But yeah, I guess one side is tyranny and one side is absolute freedom. So, but that is, freedom is right, tyranny is left. And then you have a range of how many freedoms are you willing to give up before we start tipping the scale into tyranny. That's politics. There is a left and right. Using freedom or tyranny as you're just changing your buzzwords at that point. Hit the likes. 46 watching, only 17 likes. Man, a lot of you people are failing to do your duty. Many in the right can be just as authoritarian. No, they literally cannot. Because right-wing, true right-wingism, however you want to say it, is a maximum of personal freedom. Right? Free market, limited government. The more you limit government, the farther to the right you get. You cannot have an authoritarian right-winger. People who say that Hitler was a right-winger have no idea what they're talking about. They were fed a line from historical revisionists that that placed him to the right of Stalin in World War II, which he may well have been. Okay? Yes, Hitler, fascism, didn't seize the means of production. I think fundamentally that's the only thing to the right of communism. Right? Rather, they controlled the businesses, but they did not seize the businesses. So you have government control, government superregulation, versus government seizing and owning the means of production. As far as I can tell, functionally, that's the only difference between communism and fascism. Now, are either of those right wing? No. But because fascism is 2 inches to the right of communism, they said Hitler was right wing, Stalin was left wing. Bull crap. You know who the right wing people in World War II was? Us. The Americans. It wasn't even Britain. Britain was left wing compared to America. America was the right wingers in World War II. Everybody else was to the left of us. Everybody. So, no, you literally cannot have right-wing authoritarianism. It's a contradiction in terms. Communism is more honest. Fascism likes to pretend there's private property. Yeah, true. Data Chip says, in communism, man exploits his fellow man. In capitalism, it's reversed. There's no exploitation in capitalism. In absolute free market capitalism, everything is voluntary. Everything is voluntary. So you cannot exploit someone who volunteers to do a job. If you have agreed upon a set wage, if you have agreed upon a set price, there can be no exploitation. And I know they try to say it. It's like, oh my gosh, you're making these people work for $1 a day. No. Nobody's putting a gun to anybody's head and saying you have to work for $1 a day. People in China take trains from thousands of miles away from their homeland to go work in the crappiest settings. And I know China is this bizarre amalgam of capitalism and communism now. But nobody's putting a gun to these people's heads and making them go work in the city, living in tiny little boxes with 12 other people, working there for 9 months out of the year for $1 a day. Nobody's forcing them to. Now, there is slave labor in China, but that's a different story. That's the communism part. But if you live in a place where you can actually feed an entire family on $1 a day, you're feeding your family for $1 a day. In San Diego, it costs me like $100 a day to feed my family. If I could feed my family on $1 a day, I wouldn't need to make so much money, would I? So, I mean, how much money, it's all subjective based on how much survival costs in any given part of the world. So it's not exploitation if it's the free market. So don't do that. On the spectrum, Hitler was an extreme centrist. There's no such thing as an extreme centrist. Social policies with state-guided corporate contracts. Victor the Ripper, if that was a question, then no, I did not become a Christian in that class. I'm an agnostic, formerly atheist. FDR wasn't too far from being a fascist himself. But we are the farthest to the right. Fascists are culturally right-wing. They are economically variable. What is culturally right-wing? What is culturally right-wing? You mean nationalism? Being nationalists? So you're saying I don't understand how being a nationalist. I know the communists are like workers of the world unite, so it's globalist rather than nationalist. But I mean, they were they were very proud of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics and being the USSR. So I think the Soviets were pretty nationalist, except for they were nationalist expansionist, right? So I don't know. I always find that argument a little bit fuzzy. Didn't FDR make the Japanese internment camps? I believe so. Culturally right wing is conservative. Preserving tradition and culture, yes, it's nationalism. And that necessarily falls under right wing. Nationalism can be right or left, says Ray Thulu. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's like people who say racism is right wing. Bull crap. There are racists of every political ideology. There's no such thing as a left or right to racism. There are left racists, there are right racists. It doesn't matter. Oops. Yeah, good point. But try not to swear, please, Atechi. Japan is extraordinarily nationalist. And they were... Well, I mean, they were totalitarian. So, I don't know. Because nationalism and political ideology... I don't think they necessarily... I mean, people are probably very proud and nationalist in Cuba, right? They're communists. They're far left wing. I know. That's why I say I don't like that argument, because it's not. You can't nail that argument to the wall. You know. Cuba and North Korea are examples of leftist nationalist states. There you go. No worries, Atechi. Just maybe you didn't know the rules. All gun laws are infringements upon constitutional rights. Correct. Indeed, nationalist and nationalism have been separated in the political sphere. Yeah, so that's not really an argument. So there's culturally right wing. I still don't understand the culturally right wing is conservative. Actually, let me think about that. Because that is true that preserving tradition and culture is conservative. Right? But that's not necessarily nationalism. Like in Cuba, they might want to destroy the history, but still maintain the pride of their own country, which is nationalism, right? They just want to erase the history. They want to rewrite the history. That's what communists do. They rewrite their histories. They erase what they don't like because they want to propel their vision into the future. Sorry, I knew this was going to get political, and this is like all politics. Sorry if you came here for Bible study today. We've gotten way too political. Scooby-Doo Drawn and Quartered sucks, by the way. Well, you have your opinions. You can be right-wing and not be a conservative. Alright, explain that, Dark Admiral. Well, here's another weird thing. Conservative has different meanings. In a modern context in America, conservative means literally right-wing. Right? In movie... like in Romania, because I talked to V about this a number of times. In Romania, conservatives are left-wing because in Romania, the people who are trying to conserve their past are communists. And the liberals, the lefts, no, not the left. The liberals are right-wing because they're trying to progress away from communism. So that meaning kind of can be a little, depending on where you are in the world. Yeah, conservative and liberal are relative terms. The meanings change based on time and place. That's what I was saying, WK. Right wing, more like correct wing. Am I right? Am I right? Wah, wah. Yes. Center-right libertarians are right wing, but they're not conservative. They're centrists. Fair. I guess fair. Yeah, I guess as long as you know what you're talking about. There's a lot of crossover. I'm a conservative libertarian, if you want to pigeonhole me. I wouldn't say I'm center right. I'm pretty hard right on a lot of stuff, but I believe in maximizing personal freedoms, which is libertarianism. I would never go so far as to be an anarchist. But yeah. There was a shooting at Baton Rouge Mall Walmart just now. Baton Rouge. Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me with this? My gosh, they don't even have any stories up yet. Just right now, huh? Just right now. Oh, an hour ago.
Thank you all for being here. Today at 11:45, we received a 911 call in which they said we had a possible active shooter at the Walmart. Our first units arrived here at 11:49. Units were on scene. Shortly after their arrival, they determined that shots had been fired inside the Walmart.
Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
The sheriff's office did an initial search inside the Walmart. We didn't find anything. Then we did a secondary search with Baton Rouge PD SWAT team. We didn't find anything. What we did determine, there was an altercation inside the store, and I want to let everybody know right off the bat, this was not an active shooter. Thank God this was nothing like anywhere near what they faced in El Paso or anything like this. What we've determined so far is this was an altercation between two patrons in the store that erupted to the point that they pulled guns on each other.
Jeez.
One of the patrons in the store, an innocent patron in the store, was struck twice. One suspect that we still have not found and is at large. He is a thin, slightly built black male. He was wearing black shorts, black shirt, and he had a short haircut. We saw through footage that we reviewed inside the Walmart that at one point he actually dropped his
All right. I guess the point that this that it's Walmart is the only reason this is... Why is Mike so still? Because we're watching that. Lil Spoofed says Christianity ruined my childhood. I'm gonna guess that's wrong. That might be your subjective perspective, but perhaps someone was a poor example of what Christianity is supposed to be in your childhood, and that may have ruined your childhood, because my kids are having a great time. Sounds gang related or domestic rather than terrorism. Yeah, it's not terrorism. That's just a couple guys, couple hotheads in Louisiana. Is there not a conflict between true libertarianism and altruistic Christianity? No, there is a conflict between objectivism and altruistic Christianity, but true libertarianism and objectivism are not identical. Anarchism and libertarianism are the only ones that stand for true fairness. Yeah, but anarchism is just it's too far off the bend. We've got to have laws that protect people from bad people. Right? You can't just have everyone taking their law into their own hands, because that gets a little nutty. I'd argue that God himself inspired libertarianism and classical liberalism by judging each of us as individuals rather than as part of a group. Fair. Dark Admiral Marcher says, a lot of wolves and false teachers out there. It's sad. I think that's the way a lot of people get turned away from Christianity. Absolutely. Absolutely. If your opinion of Christianity is based solely on Christians, then I apologize, because none of us, even the best of us, are perfect. Your opinion of Christianity should be based on the teachings of Christ, and your opinions of Christians should be whether or not they abide the teachings of Christ. If they do not, they are not examples of Christianity. Right? Not everyone who claims they are a Christian is a Christian. Going to a church doesn't make you a believer in Christ any more than going to a McDonald's makes you a Big Mac. Free choice is the greatest gift from God, isn't it? Well, I would say life is the greatest gift, but free choice is a pretty good one. Wolves and false teachings is the base nature of man, Christian or atheist. Yeah. Lil Spoofed says, I'm no filthy communist scum. I think anarchism is in nature. If we can't agree on some things, then let's let life itself decide. Well, that's what civilized society is, Lil Spoofed, is that we do agree on some things. My personal testimony. I don't know. I do that a lot, Pete Mac. All right, Matt V. We'll see you later. God bless. And welcome, Lil Spoofed. I think you're new here, right? You're new to our little fellowship of goofballs. Hit that like button. Anarchism is in nature. Yeah, that kind of leads you to survival of the fittest, or in the modern context, survival of whoever has the most guns and is the best shot. And that's not the kind of civilized society I want to exist in. Anyone hear about the Black Baptist Church that Bernie, Cory Booker, and Kamala Harris all flocked to appear at, only to later learn the pastor is outspoken against gays? Now they are apologizing. Little Spoof says, yeah, I'm new. This popped up in my recommendation. Well, I hope you're enjoying yourself. We do this every day except Sundays. So if you want to pop in, feel free to hit that subscribe button, and hopefully you'll get notifications, because YouTube sucks at notifications, so you're not always going to get them, but maybe everyone should double ring that notification bell and make sure it's still working. Atechi Duran says the Wild West. Well, no, because even in the Wild West, there was law. There were laws. There were law keepers. You can't have absolute anarchy. Mecca says, yeah, natural condition of mankind is anarchism, and it's awful. That's why we moved on. It's a cycle, though. It's a cycle. You end up with tyranny. Tyranny is overthrown. The overthrow either begets another tyranny, usually, or it begets some sort of an anarchy. From that anarchy arises some sort of cooperation. That cooperation can beget sort of a representative government, and then people get idle, and that representative government coalesces back into totalitarianism, and it's all cyclical. Are the days of Noah an example of absolute anarchy of tyranny? Or tyranny? Anarchy or tyranny? I don't know what kind of governmental system there was prior to Noah. It was, I mean, from the descriptions. Yeah, that was pretty. Let me see. That was Genesis 6. Let's see. Genesis chapter 6. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Yeah, it doesn't say anything that I can tell about any sort of hierarchy or governmental. So, I don't know. Where the Bible is silent, I can either speculate or I can keep my trap shut. I'm going to go ahead and keep my trap shut. Inherited wealth leads to rot, says Atechi Duran. Well, no. Inherited wealth combined with a lack of moral upbringing, that leads to rot. Although I know awful lot of pretty rotten poor people too. So I don't think one or the other rots people. I think unfortunately that's just replete in mankind. Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. Unrelated comma. That's a better way to say it. I know I've heard that saying before, but yeah. Probably family-based tribes. Who knows? I always imagine pre-flood times to be kind of like Conan stories, kings and warfare all the time. I imagine it to be more highly technological than that, but maybe that may have kept them from technology. I don't know. I do think about that a lot, but I haven't. That's funny that I never thought about what kind of a governmental system it would have been under. Christian Woe says, how much effort do Christians have to put forth to prove they are Christian? Well, to whom? To whom? Right? If you are a Christian, the effort you put forth is your life. You effort your life to be as much like Christ, to abide Christ's teachings. If you love me, obey me. That's Jesus, right? If you love me, feed my sheep. True religion is taking care of the widows and the fatherless. It's not how much do I have to do to be a Christian, to prove I'm a Christian. It's how much can I do. right? It's not much. It's not about obligation. It's about a desire to be more like Christ. So, if you feel like you have to do something, that's why the Bible says God loves a cheerful giver, right? When I tithe to the church, it's because I want to. I want to. I'm happy to be able to put a tenth of what God gives me back into the service of building God's kingdom. That's the heart of the believer. If the heart of the believer is, I have to do this so that I can look like a Christian, then your heart is in the wrong place. You know? The heart of a Christian is a heart of love for Christ, a heart of love for. It's the great commandment. Love thy God with all thy heart, soul, and mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. In these two laws are all the laws and the prophets combined, fulfilled. Christian Will also asks, how many Christians actually follow the Christian principle, turn the other cheek, treat others as you would want to be treated, etc.? Perfectly? None of us. No, there is no one good, no, not one, says the Bible. That's not the point. The point is to try as best as we can, to act out of love as best as we can, to fight against the desires of our flesh, the desires of sin, greed, sloth, envy, all that stuff. To fight against that. That's the point. We're not going to be Jesus. None of us are ever going to be Jesus. That should never stop us from trying to be. And the fact that we never are, I'm sorry that some people have bad experiences with Christians, unfortunately, also being human beings who are wrought with failure and well, you know what I mean. We can't be perfect. Don't judge Christianity by Christians. Judge Christians by Christianity. And I think we're about at an hour. That's a pretty good place to end it. Oh no, we've got 2 minutes left. Well, 1 minute left. A minute and a half left. Any other last questions? Hello, Oni. Welcome to the party. Do unto others as you would have done unto you. Yeah, that's ideal. Golden rule. I don't want to be what people think a Christian is. I want to be what Christ thinks a Christian is. Bingo! There it is. There it is. There it is. If you love me, you will obey me. That is what Christ says. So, it's a journey. We're constantly learning how to be more like Christ. Yeah, it's called sanctification. So from day one when you accept Christ till your dying day, you're hopefully moving closer and closer and closer to being Christ-like. But it's not. You're going to have ups, you're going to have downs, you're going to have, days that are near perfect. And you're going to have days where you are on your knees in repentance. So it is what it is. Unrelated says, Mike, have you done an episode about the institution of marriage already? I'm sure I have. I don't know what it was called, though. Atechi says, are lefties the mark of the devil? No, but I think they are led by the devil. Victor says, imagine, Mike, $50 to $60 a day from your church. I don't have a church. I am not a pastor. I am not a priest. I am not a prophet. I am not a rabbi. I am not a... Well, I guess technically. I don't know if I'm teaching. I'm just kind of blabbering stuff. Atechi, language. But yeah, if you want to be a part of this channel and help out with this ministry in that sense, that this channel, my my business. That's what keeps me afloat. I don't treat this ministry as a I don't pass the plate. But if you want to join the channel, the join button's down there. It's as cheap as $2 a month, as much as $10 a month, depends on what you want to do. So then devil is good, not evil. What? If devil is about pleasure and satisfaction, then devil is not good, not evil. The devil is about pleasure and satisfaction. That's not what the devil is about. The devil is about destruction. The devil is about destruction. He uses the sins of the flesh to destructive means. God gave us pleasure for good. The devil corrupts pleasure for evil. And I think that's where I got to leave it. Thank you guys for being here. I'm going to try to do some other streaming today. I'm not sure on what or when. Maybe we'll do a small council tonight. Who knows? But thank you, everyone. Thanks to the new people for popping in. Please do hit that subscribe button. We'd love to see you here on the regular. Man, you got to get on an evangelical show. Like what? I don't know. Anyways, thanks guys for being here. Love you all. God bless and aloha.